Get to the king now.
Father, no. Please, stay. Stay with me.
Talanji, my daughter. I'm so sorry.
Hush, Father. Shh. It's all right.
Forgive me.
One someday.
Yes, my queen.
What have you done to me?
Oh, he didn't tell you about our bargain? Shame on him.
Your Majesty! The Alliance dogs are escaping! What are your orders?
After them!
Damn. All right, guys, I'm back, and I've now just watched the Horde cinematic several times, taken lots of notes, lots of music comparisons with past cinematics. We'll come to that. And, this one. You know, as I said, if you guys have watched the Alliance reaction and analysis that I did, I briefly mentioned I assumed that the Horde would have their cinematics right when they enter the city. From the market area, but I am so glad we got to see this moment in cinematic lore, because this, as I said in the Alliance, when there are certain moments in lore that have to be shown in cinematic form, the Alliance storming the bay and destroying the Zandalari fleet, that is a massive plot point of Battle for Azeroth. That is huge. And this is also a huge moment as well. And I don't think this particular cinematic, the effect this is going to have, I don't think people realize how far this is going to go. This is a Horde plot point, but this is going to have a lot of impact. So we're just going to dive right in, and just a fair warning. Again, I'm not any sort of film student or film master. I've worked about 10 years in machinima as a writer and script writer and scene writer and director for machinima movies. So I'm just using tricks and tips and things that I've noticed and techniques I've picked up on from other people, whether it's official Blizzard work or other machinima, and using that to discuss this here. So there are definitely a lot more official opinions on what this is, but this is me just breaking it down and getting really excited about the smallest things, because that's what these cinematics are filled with, the small little things that mean so much, but that happens so quickly. So we're going to dive right in. So right away, we are introduced to two characters. Obviously, we know who Nathanos is, but we've got a female troll guard here. I believe this is Zolani. She is Blade of the King. I kept getting her title wrong, but she's Blade of the King. I think that's likely her. It's the same color of tunic she's wearing, same color of feathers. Unfortunately, her hair color you can't really see here because that's part of the crest on the helm there, so you can't really see her hair color. But I assume it's Zolani, the Blade of the King. She is one of Rastakan's closest bodyguards, which is kind of funny, as, you know, why are you down here? Why aren't you up there? But Rastakan's fight did have a prelate and a dire troll and a whole bunch of other guards there, so maybe he specifically ordered Zolani to protect Nathanos or something during the fight. But the first thing we get this pan right around, and we know the city's under attack, and there is this blood-curdling scream. And I said in the Alliance analysis that when there's that pan, there's a reveal at the end. And maybe reveal is not the right word. There's a build-up. There's a point. That camera pans, and it's going to end on either something in the background or foreground, or it's going to end on the focus addressing something in particular. So with Gelbin, we had the camera pan around, and button lit up, hit the button, explosion happened. We know. So with this pan, I mean, we know who's screaming, and can we just talk about that scream for a second? I'm watching it live right here. That just sends chills right up my spine. That, kudos to the voice acting, to Lanji's voice acting there, because that is absolutely insane. And it ends, of course, with the Blade of the King saying, Princess Talanji. We know, in case someone had any doubts as to who was screaming, we now know that is Talanji screaming. And then we have this next shot of Jaina, the villain. All right, and someone who plays both Alliance and Horde, like the way this shot is just framed, you get a real Lion King feel with the Pride Rock and Jaina looking down. We have the blood moon rising in the background. We have her hood is up. We see the purple and the red sky coming together. Purple and red. Colors associated with corruption, colors associated with N'Zoth. We see, I'm not saying she's corrupted, but there's an element here that's being focused. Her hood is drawn up, and she has this glare, this Jaina, do not mess with my alliance, looking down upon Nathanos. And there's this look, we can assume this look between Nathanos and Jaina. And I was going to actually skip over Nathanos entirely until I got it on the second or third watch through, and there's a lot to be said in Nathanos' expression. There is that return look, and he has this knowing, determined anger look in his face. Now, this isn't a look of surprise. We have Jaina walk away, and then we have the focus on the two again. And this isn't a look of surprise. This is not a look of worry. This is a mixture. This is a look of it's a look of desperate panic, in my interpretation, and oh shit, mixed with pure quivering hatred. And we really see that in the duel shot with him and the Blade of the King. He knows the Alliance is not only a step ahead of him, but there are many steps ahead of him at the top of the pyramid. And he knows if Jaina is staring down at him with that smug, angry expression, the Alliance is way further than he expected. And his words, "Get to the king now." His voice shakes. Go back and watch. His voice shakes, his eyes and his jowls twitch, and his teeth are bared. He is panicked because this is the king. Does Nathanos care about the king of Zandalar? No. But the Horde is trying to recruit this faction. The Horde has brought the Alliance war, the faction war, to this ancient empire. And he knows if Jaina's up there, that is not good for the king. Get to the king. It's almost as if he's... To me, it's sort of it's a desperate surrender in his voice. Get to the king now. He knows it's too late. He knows that the worst possible situation has happened. The Alliance fought their way to the top of the pyramid, and the only thing he can muster is get to the king now. And it's just that pure shaking rage that he has in his voice. And I almost skipped over this, but if you go back and you watch at the 16-second mark on the Wowhead video, or the 13-second mark rather, there is, I don't know, there's a lot here, and I love the little things in Thanos' voice, in his expression. There's a lot of expression for a glowy-eyed, red-eyed character. But I think Thanos has had a lot of the best behind-the-scenes expressions this expansion, especially in the throne room with Sylvanas. So I think there's nothing like secret here, I don't think, but it's just quite clear Thanos is pissed because the Alliance doesn't have him. The Alliance has surpassed him. The Alliance has won this battle, and he knows it. And off runs the Blade Guard. King of the Blade, or Blade of the King, whatever her name is. Zolani. Then we have, and this is a common element, tool, whatever you want to call this. It's called the I don't know the appropriate term, but it's using some sort of environment to pan into an existing scene. So the pillar pans in, and we see Talanji leaning over the body of Rastakhan, who's still alive. And this sort of element I find is often used when there's a scene that's already happening. Something is already underway, almost like a meanwhile elsewhere, as it pans in. And the second we become part of that scene, the second we join that scene, that is when the crucial dialogue, the crucial element of story starts to happen. Anything that happened before that, or after that, or leading up to that point, might have been important in some way, but it's not crucial to the scene. Probably Talanji falling to her knees, finding her body, Rastakhan shaking, whatever the initial reaction was. And we heard the initial reaction, we heard the blood-curdling scream. That wasn't necessary to show. This is what's necessary to show on scene. So we haven't seen the intro, we haven't seen the beginning of the setup of the scene, we heard the blood-curdling scream earlier, but we are being tossed into the most important, crucial moment. And the music changes rapidly here. Now I was very caught off guard on my first watch through by the Rastakhan's choking and his violent twitching on the ground. We don't see that kind of death often. It's usually we saw Arthas grab onto Tyrannus and, father, is it over? But it wasn't so violent and detailed like this. And so I was a little bit caught off guard, very disturbed, because we know, Rastakhan is succumbing to his wounds here. One thing to note is, in the far zoom-out shot, we can see Talanji, we can see Rastakhan's body, twitching. It gets to a secondary zoom-in shot, and his upper body is still covered. She's still draped over him. She's still clutching at him. We have not yet seen what Rastakhan looks like in this particular scenario. So, the last time we saw Rastakhan was on the edge of the pyramid in the Battle for Zuldazar, Zandalar Forever, where Bwansamdi's clapping and he puts his arm around King Rastakhan. That's the last time we really saw our boy in cinematic glory. Full headdress, he was all right. He was doing pretty good. But we know something's up. We see him twitching, we can hear him coughing, but we still haven't seen his face yet. So the camera pans around, and when you guys watch this for the 8th or 9th time, really do watch it that many times, watch Talanji's expression here. Before we've seen Rastakhan, it's absolute heartbreak. For character models that have glowing eyes, the amount of emotion they can show in these eye glows, amazing. Amazing. She's begging her father, no, please, stay with me. Her voice is cracking, she's whimpering, her eyes are squinting. You can see her visibly wince when Rastakhan starts to speak. When he says her name, he gasps out Talanji. Now her head looks at the hand for a second, and that was important. The hand, Rastakhan's hand, and Rastakhan's face are going to have this duality coming together. We're going to see, every time we see it in a different scene, it's going to be different. So this hand comes up to grasp Talanji's hand, and right away, first thing you may notice is the ring isn't fitting anymore. His finger's getting skinnier. Has Rastakhan been losing weight? What's going on? And he struggles to grasp on. Notice the blood on his armor as well. First face shot we get of Rastakhan. And we are shown a character that we barely recognize. Every time we've seen Rastakhan, we've seen him in his great, glorious headdress. He is the God King. That is his title. The God King of Zandalar. Rastakhan has ruled for over 200 years. We are shown Rastakhan in several in-game cinematics, the little the cutscenes that show your character. We see him in all these different forms. We see his model all the time in game. Huge head